The following is brought to you by Bleacher Report. If you guys want to check out my live post-game reaction show, make sure to have the Bleacher Report app downloaded and ready to fire up right after the game. You'll find me in the Chargers section. Bolt up.
Kia ora, Bolt fam, Chargers fans all around the world, Lions fans, I'm sure you guys will pop in, say hello. It's the director. Wow, dude. A familiar face, a familiar feeling in terms of a close game dropped by the Chargers at the last second. A game that's probably one of the most impressive I've seen in a while in terms of the score. Chargers dropping this one 41-38, a one-score difference here. 3 points. Wow. This is just moments after the game has ended, guys, so apologize. Still collecting myself emotionally on this one. This was a pretty big one, man. It almost felt like a must-win situation for the Chargers in a lot of different facets. I don't know what the percentage-wise looks in terms of making the postseason. Starting now, what it would be 4-5. 4-5 feels like we got quite the climb to make it into the postseason. Of course, we're going to be facing teams like the Patriots and the Packers up and coming. So never say never, of course. But 5-4, finally hitting that winning record, that would have been a pretty big difference here in Week 10. Instead, the narrative turned a little bit gloomer today as the Chargers fell at the last second behind a lackluster defensive effort from the Chargers and Brandon Staley. A lot of people in my chat, man, I'm not going to lie. For those of you who don't know, I host a live game reaction on my YouTube. A lot of people in my chat very fed up with the head coaching situation. We'll talk a little bit about that in today's show as well. Ready to move on and find greener pastures elsewhere. Because to be honest, the defense is really kind of what let us down this week. Certainly not last week. Last week, defense was on fire. This week, however, it was a spectacular implosion that resulted in a loss despite a very good offensive effort. And that's something that Chargers fans are having a hard time coming to terms with this week. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this Chargers-Lions loss, what the team looks like going forward, what the playoffs maybe look like a little going forward, maybe what the coaching situation looks like a little going forward as well, because, yeah, it's definitely going to be a conversation that's going to have to be had over the next couple of weeks. So especially as the Chargers' playoff hopes continue to dwindle a little bit from a lackluster defensive performance. So let's go ahead and start off here talking about the defense a little bit, because I do feel like it's a big reason why the Chargers' downfall was so aggressive this week. 41 points. Now, I don't know if I have the official stat in front of me. I don't think they show the total offense, but I think it was somewhere in and around the realm of 500 yards given up this week by the Chargers defense, which is especially impressive and not in a good way. The Chargers defense, which looked so good last week and so good the week before, looked like, I don't know, the week one version of themselves so far. Like, that was a pretty pitiful performance. And honestly, some people kind of called it. I didn't know I won't say I called it, because I was certainly not hoping for it to come out this way. But the last couple of weeks, we took on who? Tyson Bagent, right? We took on Zach Wilson. Not your Hall of Fame caliber kind of quarterback quality of play. This week, we take on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, which I say a lot in my videos. This ain't your daddy's Lions, okay? This ain't your granddaddy's Lions. This is the new Detroit Lions, new and improved. And this offense has been quite a dangerous thing the past couple weeks. Now, one big thing that I did tell people as well is, don't be deterred too much, because this Lions schedule has been pretty soft. I'm not going to lie. It's been pretty soft. In terms of, you compare it to the Chargers' first 8 games or whatever, it's a huge difference. And the quality of quarterback play has just not been the same. I think their 2 best quarterbacks that they've faced so far this season was Patrick Mahomes, which, granted, they did win that game, and then Lamar Jackson, who threw like crazy on them. I think 350 yards. So I felt there was a pretty good opportunity for the Chargers and Justin Herbert to get in here and put up an offensive, impressive performance, which they did. Unfortunately, the defense wasn't able to keep pace with them this week. And that really is gutting, because we've been kind of waiting for this offense to find their footing. It feels like Justin Herbert and that hand injury is starting to go behind him. or he put it behind him, and it feels like we're seeing that old version of Justin Herbert that we're so used to seeing. But when the defense gives up this many points, especially so soon, like it felt like the defense was kind of falling apart very quickly in this game. It doesn't much matter what the offense looks like. So let's start up here with the Detroit Lions and their quarterback play. Jared Goff, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. I think the big thing that I want to put in the limelight first in the foreground is going to be this number right here, 0 sacks. Now, if there's one thing I think the Chargers defense has done very well this season, if there's an identity I think they've created for themselves this season, it has been that they've been a very good team at getting to the quarterback. I don't know what the pressure rate looks like. I don't know how often, in terms of, sacks per game it looks like, but they've been on fire this year. 31 sacks coming into this game. 0 versus the Detroit Lions. Granted, they have a very good offensive line, probably one of the best that we're going to face this season. But it's a part of your defense that if you don't have that element, it seems that everything else falls apart. That's a little worrisome. Now, honestly, it's not going to show a huge weakness going forward because it's a really hard thing to stop. The Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Tuli Tuipulotu, it's a hard unit to slow down. The Lions did it, though, this week. And I do think that's a big reason why the defense was just not so great. We could not get pressure on Jared Goff. That's not great. Jared Goff, 333 yards. It really seemed like they were doing whatever they wanted out there. And it does make me a little worried that some teams might replicate some of their quick passing that we saw a lot from the Lions. But certainly not the defensive performance I was hoping for from a Jared Goff. He's not going to be the toughest quarterback we have left on the schedule either. We still got Patrick Mahomes again. We still got Lamar Jackson. It is worrisome. And if we saw a version of the defense today that shows up again later in the season, it's going to be really tough for the Chargers to come out on top, even if their offense is finally starting to hit their stride. Let's move on to the running. The running backs of the Detroit Lions had an absolute day. What's funny is I think most of these yards were accomplished in the first half of the game. 116 yards, 77 yards, 9 yards. Insane. Is that 200 yards? I think it might be close to it. If not, that's a lot of rushing yards. And the Chargers, again, if they had any part of an identity defensively coming into this game, is that they have been a very good run defense. Now, sure, I think it did pick up in the second half because I do think a lot of those yards happened in the first. The Chargers did a good job at adjusting and finding a way to slow that down. But that's still unacceptable. I think it was all 3 of their touchdowns on the ground came in the first half. It really was kind of a joke in the first half of this game in terms of how many yards and how many points were put up by the running backs. And that does kind of fall on Brandon Staley for the most part, which, again, we'll get to in just a minute. Their run game was absolutely insane. But what might have been even more insane, though, was this right here. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, we're going to get to the Chargers side in just a minute. You guys will say, oh, my God, well, we had a really good receiver, too. Well, this is a big, big, big thing that I thought we should have been more prepared for. We knew Amon-Ra was going to be a big part of this offense, and he was. He showed up. Holy crap. Long of 46, yes, but 156 yards despite that. He did take this away, and he still got over 100 yards. That's bonkers. 9 targets, 8 receptions. We just could not stop this man. I think that does give us a heavy indicator of what we're lacking in terms of personnel. Chargers need that number 1 DB real bad. I should say cornerback. They need that number 1 corner. They were banking on it being J.C. Jackson. J.C., he had an implosion. He's not really doing well in terms of his football career right now, and the Chargers were kind of left in the dust, wondering what's going to happen at the corner position. Well, right now, this is kind of what's happening. We're letting up a ton of yards, especially those number 1 receivers, a ton of yards. And again, we got some big boys coming up in the next few weeks. We got to figure out how to slow that down. Derwin James is still out there, yes. And he had a pretty decent game despite a couple of plays here and there. But that's not going to be enough. Pass rush needs to come in there and chip in and help. Other DBs need to chip in and help. Vato, of course, Michael Davis was on the sideline throwing up like crazy. It looks like he was sick. Left the Chargers in a really bad place defensively. But still, despite that, I saw a lot of situations where I'm like, even with the personnel we have out there on the field, the play calling looks a little bad to me, a little suspicious. A lot of soft coverage. We see this every week. Chargers fans are kind of used to it. A lot of soft coverage out there. a lot of zone. And it seems, especially in those clutch situations where we need a stop, it's 3rd and long, it's 4th and long. The Chargers are out there playing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Why are we doing this? There was one play, actually, almost to close this game out. I think it was 2nd and long or 3rd and long or something like that. And the Chargers played man coverage. I saw Derwin James following his man, and the Chargers did a great job at defending that play. And I thought to myself, yay, finally, Chargers didn't play, soft zone. We got to stop. And then here comes the 4th down conversion or the 3rd down conversion. The Chargers decided to play soft again. I'm like, why? When we see so many opportunities where these DBs get to play physical, get to play closer to the line of scrimmage, the success rate there, at least from my eyeballs, tell me that that's pretty high. Why do we continue to play soft? I'll never understand. And that, in the end, I hate to say, kind of cost us the game. Not just from that last play. Of course, that definitely cost us the game, quite literally. But throughout the entirety of the game, 41 points doesn't happen on purpose. It doesn't happen, with great defensive play calling. It doesn't happen with the great defense altogether. With the Chargers probably close to leading the league in money spent on defense. That's kind of crazy to me. Yes, the Lions a good offense, but the Chargers have a lot of resources on defense that were not utilized properly. Let's take a look here at the defense of the Lions. They had the interception, of course. That was a bad decision by Justin Herbert. No other way to kind of slice it there. Did they get as many sacks as I thought they did? They did not, huh? No sacks on either side. Interesting. Very interesting. Their defense was just kind of what I expected it to be. I didn't think it was going to be as locked down as it has the past, season with the softer schedule. But unfortunately, you need the defense on our side. We need the Chargers defense to match that energy or to take advantage of that. So there's the Lions side of things. Let's go to the Chargers, because I do want to point out some of the good here, man. Something that you can work with going into the future. Justin Herbert, 27 of 40. Rough start at the beginning. I know he had some decent yards, but he did pick it up. 323 yards, 12 on average, 4 touchdowns. Yes, the interception, but a very good day for Justin Herbert. We did not lose this game on the back of Justin Herbert at all. As a matter of fact, I was saying this during my live stream. It was really nice to see this version of Justin Herbert back. Wow. He was out here making some big plays. He was out here passing downfield. He was out here figuring it out despite the receiver situation at times. He was scrambling. He was keeping drives alive. Justin Herbert was fantastic this week. And this is exactly kind of what I predicted in my preview video, is that Herbert, a lot of the times when he has a down week, he comes back on fire. And that's exactly what he did this week. Last week, he passed for less than 200 yards, no touchdowns. This week, 323 yards, 4 touchdowns. Even the interception, that doesn't matter as much. Huge week for Justin Herbert. And that's good. That's a good sign moving forward. Chargers, you still have Justin Herbert. So long as you have Herbert, you have a chance. Even if you make the postseason, limping on the way in, if Herbert's there at quarterback, you have a chance. That's how good of an impact player he can be. And that version of him finally feels like it's coming back after the hand injury, which I'm going to say did make a bigger impact than a lot of people made it out to be. Good to see him back. He's looking great. Rushing. Chargers, Austin Eckler, 19 for 67. Not a bad day. Could have been a lot better. Average of 3.5. Chargers trying to get that run game going. It's slowly kind of okay. Nothing great. I think they honestly, they need to reevaluate what they're doing in the offseason in terms of that. Austin Eckler, he's been great. He's still one of the better running backs in the league. Don't know if he's going to be here with the team next year. I think that would give them an opportunity to reevaluate what they want from that position. Eckler being more of that receiving back, that's kind of, scat back kind of energy. Maybe drafting somebody more in favor of like a traditional hybrid, like elusive runner, big body kind of guy that can, run between the tackles a little bit more efficiently. That might help out their offense in the grand scheme of things going forward. So just kind of keeping that in mind. But Austin Eckler didn't have a bad game this week. Of course, he had the touchdown there. I think he had another one. No, he did not. But still not a bad week for Austin Eckler. Just would like to see the run offense maybe pick up the pace just a little bit. That would help Justin Herbert more than anything, getting a better run game out the gate. Still about 100 yards on the day, touchdown. Can't complain too much. Receiving, however, my goodness, man. Is this one of the most clutch players in Chargers history? Keenan Allen, another ridiculous day, close to 200 yards. He had, 200 yards versus the Dolphins, something like that, not too long ago. 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, despite being gone for a little while with injury in the fourth quarter. Absolutely insane. I think he came back, so I think he'll be fine going forward. But a fantastic day for Keenan Allen. And you're going to continue seeing, targets in the double digits as long as he keeps putting up ridiculous numbers like he has been the past several seasons. In his twilight seasons too, man. This is not a young wide receiver. These are the numbers of a prime Justin Jefferson. This is a 31, 32-year-old Keenan Allen out here. Absolutely insane day for Keenan Allen. What a day for him. After putting up 10,000 yards with that catch last week, he's coming right back in here with 175, 2-touchdown performance. Big ups to Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 48 yards. Not terrible. Definitely not bad. This is kind of what you want from Austin Eckler. A couple of drops in there, I do remember, though. He's got to clean those up, and he's been having those pretty much every week right now. That should be his forte. It's what he brings in the passing game underneath. He's doing pretty good, though. I'm not going to try and take that away from him. Good week for Austin Eckler. Jalen Guyton made his return this week as well for the Chargers. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown. Welcome back, number 15. We sure missed that speed on this team. But I think what's going to get a lot of hype over the next week is going to be our rookie wide receiver, Quentin Johnston, who finally showed up. Despite the lack of yards here, and despite a lot of drops that could have been huge plays, and he's a rookie. He's going to learn, hopefully sooner than later. He did go out there, though, and put up that touchdown to keep the Chargers in it late. Hopefully, we continue to see that growth. Again, it was going to be a tough week no matter what, but seeing that does bring me a little hope that maybe there's something there for the Chargers. I would have liked to see a lot more. Tony Romo was definitely not a fan from what it sounded like of Quentin Johnston, but I hope that he continues to grow and give the Chargers another option because we sure do miss that Mike Williams element, or at least another element on the team outside of Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen. Keenan, those two have been carrying this offense. We need more guys to step up. Good to see Guyton back. Would have loved to see more from Parham. Would have loved to see more from Everett, who ended up getting hurt. It is what it is. Defensively, this week is where it kind of does gut me to be on a Brandon Staley Chargers-led team. This to me was tough. And I think a lot of credit, first and foremost, needs to go to the offensive line of the Lions. That offensive line's always been pretty underrated, and boy, howdy, did they have a great day today. Those guys were kind of all over the place. They were crazy. They were great. No sacks between Tuli Tuipulotu, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Morgan Fox. That's pretty impressive, I'm not going to lie. It does feel like it messed up the juju of the whole defense as well. Sure, you had some big plays by Derwin James, leads the team in tackles. A couple tackles for loss. He still had a solid day. I get it. He had that boneheaded, penalty, which is kind of become a norm for him. But a good day for him. Kendricks had an okay day. Murray was looking pretty good. The guy that I kind of want to point out in this one, though, is going to be Alohi Gilman. Not bad on the stat sheet. Pass defended, too. But there's a lot of situations where Alohi Gilman was kind of the guy getting beat, which is kind of scary to say. I think the touchdown to their tight end right? I think that's his name, Wright. I think that was kind of all in Alohi Gilman. Chargers played one lone safety over the middle of the field. That was Alohi's job. He read run, and he bit really hard. And that left their tight end butt naked back there for pretty much the free touchdown. And there were situations like that a lot this week. Alohi couldn't wrap up his guy. He wasn't playing coverage very well. He was getting beat a lot. I think Sam Laporta picked up a huge play on him as well. There's a lot of moments where I can say this was perhaps Alohi Gilman's worst game as a Charger, which is how bad it was. He's been a Charger a while now, which is unfortunate to say because Alohi has been a very solid safety for us, actually for the past year almost. He was really starting to come into his own at the end of last season. This season, he's been nothing but spectacular. I don't know what happened this week. I don't know what happened. Dude hit a stride of bad luck, and it really, really was evident, at least to my eyes, that Alohi Gilman was just not himself this week. I don't know. That was just one part of it. The whole defense, there was just so much bend. Now, I was kind of becoming optimistic in the first quarter because of the back-to-back goal line stops. That was fantastic, right? The goal line defense looked really, really good. But outside of that, there was just so much bend. A lot of penalties, which, again, is kind of reflective of bad coaching. Not enough pressure. Coverage was really lackluster. Play calling was really lackluster. The defense was all over the field bad this week, which is really unfortunate because the offense really picked up the pace. They kept us in this game all week, or all game. And the Lions, despite their amazing effort offensively, the Chargers and Justin Herbert never let them out of their sights. The defense just could not hold it down. It felt like we couldn't get a stop. Not a single one. How big of an impact could have that made? I don't know. It was just really, really bad this week. Which kind of leads me up to one of my final talking points I want to talk to you guys about. Because if you're a Chargers fan, you kind of know who runs the defense a little bit. And it's kind of sad to say because I've seen, a lot of signs that Brandon Staley was kind of turning a corner. Of course, I was really hesitant to declare that because of the opponents we're going up against. I mean, the Jets was definitely a big one for me, not because we beat them, but because of the way we beat them. That was huge for me. I felt like that did pay some dividends to Brandon Staley maybe improving. The Bears I wasn't especially impressed with. I thought it was a really fun game. I was at that game personally, live, and it was a good time. And we did spank them pretty good. But, it's the Bears. Then you come in here versus the Lions. What were they, a 6-2 team at the time? You think to yourself, all right, man, this is a football team. Even if they've had a softer schedule, this is a team that you got to go and prove that you can beat in order to make that postseason push that you're hoping for. And to me, it's not just that we lost. It's the way that we lost. Just like the way we won with the Jets, the way we lost this week was pretty bad in terms of reflecting on the coaching. Brandon Staley and this defense, which again has some of the most resources you're going to find in terms of money in the league, they kind of imploded this week. And that sucks. Because as a Chargers fan, every week it kind of feels like one side of the ball can't keep up. If it's not the offense, it's the defense. If it's not the defense, it's the offense. But in particular, the defense this week just felt very sloppy, not ready for this Lions offense, which may have been underestimated. It just felt blech. And a lot of it, and I hate to say, I'm not this huge football guy. Okay, I'm not an X's and O's in the terms of anywhere near these coaches out here that are leading the team. Absolutely not. But just as a fan, in my perspective, why do we play so soft in terms of coverage? Especially when, again, with my eyeballs, I witness a lot of success when they play physical. They let the DBs get in there and alter the routes of these faster receivers that have been causing us a lot of trouble. Why not let us to play a little bit more aggressive? Where are those creative blitz packages that we've been seeing the past couple of weeks? Where'd those go? I saw a couple of them not work, of course. The Lions are passing pretty quick. But what's going on? Where's the consistency and adjustment? Ultimately, it does fall on head coach Brandon Staley. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Where are you guys at with it? In the comment section, if you guys are watching a replay of this, where are you guys at with it in the comments? You guys sticking with Staley? You want to see the season out? Are you done? You ready to move on? And if so, a big conversation I want to have with you guys, or at least spark the conversation of it, because it's not an easy decision, right? It's not an easy decision to say, hey, man, I'm ready to move on from our head coach. Like now, sometimes want to, mid-season. Who do you guys have out there that you would be a coaching candidate for you guys if you were to move on? There's a lot of names floating out there in terms of potential Chargers future head coaches. I know a lot of people want Jim Harbaugh. I don't know what the drama going on with that, how that's going to work out, but it's a solid contender for a lot of you guys. A lot of people are on that train with me in my chat, on my channel at least. A lot of people want to see that happen. Of course, I don't know if I'd be opposed to that. Then again, I don't know all the drama and everything's happening. I'm not an expert on anything and that storyline, but that's not a bad option. Some people see that Bill Belichick might be parting ways with the New England Patriots. Is that somebody you want to see lead the powder blue? Some people would be up for it. I'd be a little worried about the drafting of a Bill Belichick with the Chargers. Maybe Tom Telesco wouldn't let that happen, but you never know. I think you got guys like interim head coach. If we were to fire Brandon Staley today, the interim head coach would 100% be Kellen Moore. And there's been kind of a plan floating under the radar, at least with me, for a long time. If you really are done with Brandon Staley, if the team is just kind of like, it didn't work out, it is what it is, the best use of your time, at least for the rest of the season, let's see what happens with Kellen Moore. I know it's not like the fairest of shots, okay? Brandon Staley's had all these off seasons to work things out, all these seasons to get his game together. It didn't happen. Kellen Moore would have like half a season, at least to start. But why not use a little bit of that time to see what you got in Kellen Moore? He led a great game today. Of course, he's not been perfect. He's not been this like super big, what all of us were hoping to see in terms of like this monstrous offense, but it's kind of coming into its own. especially with Justin Herbert getting a little bit more healthy every single week. What do you guys think of that? Not just as interim head coach, but as a head coach candidate for the Chargers going forward. Does he need to continue to prove himself? Yes. Would he have that opportunity even with half a season as interim? Yes. I don't know. You guys let me know. And let me also, these other, more than likely with the Chargers as well, you're going to find a guy that's a little bit under the radar, maybe even unknown. There's a lot of guys out there, right? We were all hoping for Brian Dable. I think it was the biggest one on my channel, at least, and Eric Bieniemy. There's still other guys out there that could fit the bill as well, not just Bill Belichick. So you guys let me know who you guys would be excited about in terms of a potential Chargers head coach in the future if we are really done with Brandon Staley. Because today, another not so great game on Brandon Staley's resume. I hate to say it. I would love the guy. He's the kind of guy I would hang out with. But in terms of the football team right now, it's not looking too good. And hopefully the Chargers, they find a way to bounce back despite that. Maybe even Brandon Staley figures it out. Maybe they give Brandon Staley the rest of the season. But right now, it's not looking good. So you guys let me know in the comment section. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you guys like what you saw here, hit us up with a follow here on Bleacher Report. It's been a good time this season. And keep your heads up, Chargers fans. This is one of those losses where I'm going to remember it. I mean, I hate to say it. Some of you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but it was a good game. Like, it was an entertaining game. I wish with all my heart that we won this game. It was a good game. It does hurt, especially, though, that we lost this one, because this would have been one for the record books and one that would live dearly in my heart as a Chargers fan if we were just able to come out on top. It just wasn't in the cards. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me again. We'll catch you guys next time. Good luck to the Chargers next week facing the Green Bay Packers. This team is still alive. Don't give up on them yet. We got to get our act together defensively, and a lot of that is on head coach Brandon Staley. We'll see you guys next time. Bolt up now and forever. Be mad today. Bolt up tomorrow. We'll bleed powder blue till the day we die. Much love.